Hi there, you're listening to the Unchained Rock Show with me, Steve Harrison.
And me, Gav Burton.
And joining us on the phone from New York, we have Rob Traynor, lead guitarist and vocalist with Blackwater Rising. Rob, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us from your busy schedule. We do appreciate you taking the time out to have a chat with us here on the radio.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Now, Rob, Blackwater Rising, you've got a new album coming out, Pissed and Driven, aptly named album there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, the name of the album, I had written a song called Pissed and Driven. It's basically really just a play on words, as in Piston, driven like an engine, is piston driven, and then I just kind of turned it into Piston Driven because we're just a piston driven bunch of guys that play hard rock and roll, and I thought it was suitable as a album title for the new album.
Now, we noticed that your first album was released in sort of 2008, almost a 5-year gap, pretty much to the day. I just wondered, why was that sort of gap of about 5 years?
Well, we were doing a lot of promotion and a lot of marketing on our own. Besides, finally signing a deal with Metalville out of Germany, we did everything in the States on our own. We didn't sign with any labels here because, quite honestly, the deals are pretty horrific. So, when you're doing everything on your own, financing it, doing all the marketing, managing, doing everything, it takes up a lot of time. Besides the fact, we're not rock stars. We have day jobs like everyone else, and families, and that you got to put time and effort into that as well. So it doesn't really leave a lot of time to to really just work on new material and to get that rolling. And we were really just concentrating on trying to reach as many people as we could with the first album.
Yeah.
So as opposed to signing with a record label who would basically sign your album and then put it out there and maybe give it about 6 months to market it and see how it's doing. The fortunate thing about doing stuff on your own is there's no expiration date on the music, and you can just continue to market it and push it as much as you want.
Yeah.
And the way that this band works, and because of the internet and the way things work in this day and age, we're able to do it on our own and market it and basically just build it up one brick at a time as opposed to just going out there and, when you have a big label or something behind you, they sink a lot of marketing, give you a big marketing budget, put you out on tour and whatnot. And then you could, get to go to radio and maybe build up a lot of fans right off the bat. But we've been kind of grassrooting it, doing everything on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
So when you're doing things on a much smaller scale, I guess it takes a lot more time to build it up,
So
it's taken a long time, and then, when I was able to actually put the time and energy into writing the new album, I did that, and before you knew it, 4 years had gone by. And we were like, I think it's time to get something else out there already, because a lot of fans that we had made, were reaching out to the band with emails and, and leaving comments and saying, what the hell is going on with you guys, man? When are you going to come out with something new?
Right.
Do you think it differs from the previous album, or is it a natural progression and continuation from the first one?
I would say that it's basically the same thing. I'm still the same miserable bastard I was before, so nothing's really changed. If anything, I'm more miserable now than I was then. So, I haven't really changed. My attitude hasn't changed. My views haven't changed. I think you just become more bitter with age. I think it's just part of naturally aging.
And grumpy.
But, no, I didn't set out to do anything different with this album. I just, I wouldn't want to do anything different because I kind of feel like the first album, for us at least, was a real success.
Yeah.
And people seem to have really gravitated towards the sound and what we were doing. So, which, at first was a big surprise to us and to me as well, because I didn't really feel like we were doing anything that was groundbreaking, but people seem to have really gravitated towards it and were excited about it.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't set out to try to write differently or to do anything different.
Yeah.
I just did with what I normally, like what I did for the first album, just sat down, wrote some cool riffs that I thought sounded really cool, and then came up with just melodies and threw them at the guys, and if they gave it the thumbs up, we moved with it.
What sort of bands influenced you when you first started writing? What influenced you?
Oh man, it's just too many to name.
Right.
I mean, I grew up in the '70s. I was a baby in the '70s, but that's when I really discovered music, and I just loved a lot of the '70s rock and stuff like that. To me, I think that was the best. That to me, I guess because I grew up then and I was a kid, was very inspirational. I mean, I loved Elton John. I would hear Elton John songs on the radio, and it did something to me. It just made me want to listen to more music. And then, of course, the Beatles. I was a huge Beatles fan for many, many years. And then, a little later on, as I got a little older, I discovered, Black Sabbath and then started to gravitate towards the heavier type of music and, a more, guitar, bass, drums, type of stuff, and a lot of blues oriented, and it just progressed from there. As a teen, I was a huge Iron Maiden fan. I listened to Iron Maiden all the time. I mean, there wasn't a day that went by. I loved Steve Harris. I was a huge fan of Steve Harris, and I just started playing bass guitar because of him. And that's how I really originally became a musician, was as a bass player.
All right.
And I ended up playing bass for many years. And then I started playing professionally in some bands, and I had gotten a record deal as a bass player. And but I also kind of moved on to become a songwriter.
Yeah.
And part of my songwriting, I felt like I couldn't really express myself on just the bass guitar, so I gravitated towards the guitar to do my writing. And just out of necessity, I guess, I just became a guitar player.
Yeah.
I would have never in a million years thought I would have been a guitar player. My dream was always to be like Steve Harris in a metal band playing bass guitar, and being successful. And then also from the songwriting, I ended up singing because I wanted to get my ideas across. And then people heard the recordings and they were like, "Dude, man, you got a really good voice. You should sing." So I was like, "This is great," And I just kind of moved in that direction. Before you know it, now I'm here today. I'm a singer and a guitar player.
Indeed.
So it's weird. You really never know where you're going to end up. But that's, there was a lot of, I guess a lot of influence came from across the pond, you might say, over there. But definitely.
Well, we are the best at it.
I was influenced by a lot of that stuff, man.
So you talk about those influences then, Rob. What were the influence for writing the particular material on the new album then? I mean, you talk about there that, the first album, it's really sort of heavy laden with riffs, and so's this. The new album.
Right.
So what about the material itself? Because when you look at sort of some of your material on the website, it's sort of looking at sort of elements of political statements, etc. Do you still feel that that's an element on this album?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I really didn't set out to try to do anything differently.
Yeah.
I think sonically the album might sound a little different than the first album because it was recorded in a different recording studio.
Yeah.
I had moved. The first album was recorded in a friend's apartment, actually, that we converted into a rehearsal space. It was like a small bedroom that we rehearsed in, and we recorded there. And I had since moved from that area, and I made my own home recording studio now. So, sonically, because of the acoustics, the sound is a little different. Yeah. But the approach that I took to the writing is, like I said, basically the same approach I took on the first batch. On the first album is just sitting down and coming up with riffs and stuff, and then just coming up with melodies to put over it. I don't sit down and say, like, I'm going to write a song that sounds like Alice in Chains or sounds like Black Sabbath or, I don't.
Good.
And I don't focus on, a direction. Of course, I'm influenced, and it's obvious that, what my influences are. It's, just blues-oriented, riffs. I don't think I'm doing anything that's, all that special. It's just I'm just trying to come up with some cool riffs that move me and melodies that I think are catchy and hooky to me. And
we call it.
The song gets past me. I'm my biggest critic. Then I turn it on to the guys in the band, and if the guys give it a thumbs up, then we take it from there. You know.
Brilliant. We call it meat and taties rock and roll. As in, it's the staple rock and roll.
That's the bottom line, meat and potatoes.
We touched on there what you listened to when you were a kid, and what influenced you. What do you listen to now? What if you went home and put a CD on now? What would it be, other than your own stuff, obviously?
I've been listening to. I've been listening to the new Soundgarden a lot. That album I think is excellent. That's an awesome album. I also picked up. I discovered this. I don't know if you guys have heard about this band Periphery.
Periphery.
Oh,
yes,
yeah. I've seen them a couple of times.
Yeah, very progressive.
Yeah.
They call it the genre, the style.
Yeah.
Very Meshuggah,
Yeah.
along the lines of like Meshuggah, but with a lot more vocal melodies and very cool jazzy chord progressions. And I've been digging their stuff a lot. I picked up both of their albums, and I've been liking that stuff a lot.
They are incredibly talented, aren't they?
Tech metal.
I listen to Meshuggah. I listen to a lot of different stuff. I listen to a lot of really heavy stuff. But then again, because I like a lot of riffs and rhythms. The new Sabbath, I've been listening to that a lot.
Yeah.
The new Alice in Chains, that album has been, in the car. I do a lot of listening to a lot of stuff because I have a very long commute to work. So
Right.
I spend a lot of time going to work and coming home listening to CDs nonstop.
That's the best place to be in your car, listening to CDs.
Indeed.
Yep.
It is. When are you doing any live shows over there? And have you got any plans to bring it to England? Would love to see you over here.
Oh, we're dying to come out to Europe, man. I mean, that would be a dream come true for us to come out and play over there by you guys.
And is there
we're
any
working on it.
plans?
We have a European label, like I said, Metalville Records.
Yeah.
And I know that they're supposed to be working on something. I mean, we need to come out there. So that's the plan. We're looking to do some touring here in the States. We have a couple of touring opportunities that we're actually looking into right now.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to do something through August, and then around September or October coming out to Europe.
Would that be headline shows, or would that be in support with somebody?
Probably open it up for somebody because, I don't know what kind of following we have over there, but I would assume that we'd probably have to open for someone so that people can get turned on to what we're doing.
Yeah. Rob, just a question that we're always interested in is sort of people's first real live experience. Myself and Gav, we've been to just too many gigs to remember, and we've really got a passion for live music. And we're just, we'd like to know, and I'm sure everybody out there would like to know, who was your first sort of real live band experience? Your first gig that you went to and watched.
What's that? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Broke up there.
Yeah, just wondered.
My experience.
Your first live experience, first gig you went to.
Oh, the first time I played a show?
No, the first one you went to watch.
Man.
The first one you went to watch.
Who was the first band you ever saw
The first
live?
one I went to watch
Yeah.
was the first big concert that I actually went to was at Madison Square Garden.
No way.
To see Iron Maiden Peace of Mind tour.
What an inauguration that is.
Yeah, that was the first one. That's where and I was like in the 13th row, and I had smoked a huge joint, and I nearly shit my pants because I was blown away.
Just to make you a little
I
bit...
think that was one of those moments when I had decided, man, this is what I got to do with the rest of my life.
I want to make people shit their pants.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Just to make you a little bit jealous, we saw
Iron
Iron Maiden a fortnight ago.
Experience.
Just to make you a little bit jealous, we saw Iron Maiden a fortnight ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the headline,
Awesome,
the
man.
Download
Yeah.
Festival.
Those guys are a testament to perseverance and just pure kick-ass. I mean, those guys to this day are just totally ripping it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really are.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay then, Rob. Well, I'd just like to thank you very much for taking your time out again, as I say, to join us here on the Unchained Rock Show. Your new album is due out, I believe, around about August the 13th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, August 13th, and it should be everywhere, iTunes and all record stores. I know it's going to be out in record stores in Europe.
Yep.
And we're very psyched. We're excited, and we hope to be out your way real soon.
Okay, that's great. And
Thank
that's
you.
piston-driven Blackwater Rising. Check out their website, www.blackwaterrising.com. Once again, Rob, thanks for taking the time out to join us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I thank you guys, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.